Hey darts fans, that's Timo Newman here, the transporter. Welcome to the good ship Undarted Waters. We're starting a very short voyage today. Just a trip round the harbour pretty much. 3 short videos, really down to earth, bread and butter practice sort of training videos. Okay, so it's all to avoid this, right? Don't get a 9 darter like that because they're lovely darts, but they're pretty much useless in a game of 501. So all of these 3 training videos are about getting better for all of us on the 20 segment. Okay, you can actually practice these on other segments like the 19 or the 18 if you want to, depending on your taste, but for the sake of simplicity I'm going to present them on the 20 segment because that's most relevant to 501. So we're concentrating on the 20 segment, and it's to improve our consistency. So we're typically going to be aiming around the treble 20, particularly in the first and the third of these 3 short videos. So today the first one is very straightforward. It's a sort of routine that I do every single day, and I have to sort of pass this in order to do any other kind of darts for the day. So for me it's like a gateway to the rest of my darts for the day. 10 visits at the board aiming at the 20 segment, and you have to exceed a target that you set for yourself. So I typically set myself a target of 600. More recently it's been maybe 700, and I may not achieve that in my first go at this at the beginning of the day's practice when I've warmed up, but I'll keep trying it in blocks of 10 visits until I've exceeded that target, say 600 or 700. If you are a relatively new player to darts, your average per visit may be around 40 or 45, so you would want to set yourself a slightly stretching target, maybe 450, and you do a block of 10 visits aiming at the 20 segment, and then you just need to exceed that 450 points. Okay. What's neat about doing the 10 visits is that when you take your total and divide by 10, you do get an immediate indication of your per visit average. Okay. So for very experienced club players, you know, they may set their target for say 6, 7 or even 800 depending on how they feel. But I do think it's a good idea to use this as a gateway, that you're not allowed to stop playing this till you have exceeded your target. So don't make it too high because you might get really frustrated. What I find really useful is to have a ghost player in my head who, whatever the target is, gets a tenth of that every visit. So let's say the target's 600, the ghost player gets 60 every visit. And so their aggregate score I can compare to my score. So say after 5 visits I've got 290, the ghost player will have 300. If the target's 600, it's 60 per visit. So I know I'm behind then, I need to do a little bit better. Okay, so I just have the ghost player in my mind, what their aggregate score is, and then that gives me an indication of, am I doing okay, can I relax, or am I doing poorly, I need to improve. So let's have a go. My board light is actually turned off because there's way too much glare because I'm doing an evening recording, so my board is really gloomy, so that's my excuse if this doesn't go quite as well as I'd like. Plus, having talked for the last 5 minutes, I'll probably need a few visits just to get back in the groove, but hopefully I can do well enough to exceed, let's say 600, and you'll get an idea how this goes. So here we go then, aiming for the 20 segment, and do our best. Okay, so we're starting then with 41. 41 after 1 visit. Okay, 41, 46, 126 after 2. $186 after 3, so I'm just ahead of the ghost player. $186, 191, 241. So the ghost player and I are neck and neck, 2, 4, 1 after 4. 2, 4, 1, 2, 4, 6, 3, 2, 6 after 5, 3, 2, 6 after 5. 4, 2, 6 after 6. That gives me some breathing space. Phew! 4, 2, 6 after 6. That's really helpful. 4, 3, 1, 4, 7, 1 after 7. 4, 7, 1, 5, 3, 1 after 8. So it looks like, unless there's a disaster, I'm going to be able to do this. So I think that's 5, 9, 1 after 9. So the ghost player's a bit desperate. He's back on 540. I'm on 5, 9, 1. Should be fine. Yep, so we're okay. So what's that? 5, 9, 1. That's 6, 5, 1. So 65 average. That went pretty well actually. So yeah, so the ghost player left in the dust there. So that's my gateway. I would be able then to go and do other kinds of practice then. I mean, it's quite strict. I'm quite strict on myself. I will not let myself do any other darts until I've gone through the gate. It used to be a 600. I usually have a 700 bar now, and it might take me a few goes to get above that. So this is really, really good practice, I think, because it is very bread and butter 501 practice anyway, but also you get a daily sort of health check on what is my sort of what's my per visit average looking like at the moment, okay? And you can sort of, you don't need to write them down day to day, although you can of course, but you get a sense though over the weeks whether you are improving in your game, okay? So I hope that's helpful. The next two that I'll cover, these short videos, are both based on the 20 segment, but they are, I would say, much less fun. They are more painful. So this was like our roast potatoes, but the next two are going to be our parsnips and our sprouts. But they are going to be good for us, I promise. So 3 darts at the oche, make them count, and I'll see you next time.